And hopefully, I know that Kaylee was in the middle of, not that you need huge details, was in the middle of picking up vomit from her daughter. And hubby was not home to be able to like do the switching of the guards. So I know that's a little trick. Again, if you do have the ability to turn on your camera, I do encourage you to do so. It helps us stay a little bit more connected. Again, you guys are adults and make the decision on whatever chaos is going or whatever your internet connection does to be able to make sure that it is beneficial. But I do know that it is just a nice thing for us to be able to see faces sometimes and read body language and things like that. Okay, call number 6. How we doing? Do we feel like everything's been out of control for 6 weeks?
Yeah, we're pulling our hair out.
Because
Trina.
if you're not feeling like this was a stretch, you likely weren't doing it correctly. No matter where you're at in your business, whether you were a director, because you know, for example, I can give, if as a teacher, I can give a 5-paragraph assignment for an essay to a 7th grader, and I can give it to a senior. Same, write me a 5-paragraph essay about blah blah. Okay, I can give the same assignment, but the product that I expect would be very different.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so this is kind of like what this is in the fact of, you know, we have several directors that have gone through this program, and it's not a matter of, you know, figuring out like, hey, they have never heard tips on before. You know what I mean? Like, I guess now, but they might be looking at it with different eyes, leadership eyes, or even that, you know what, this is how it works for me. So and so on my team is struggling, and maybe they need this tip. Or maybe they need to structure it this way. Or kind of forcing us, what this journey has done for a lot of us, it's forced us to come up with a system. And because it's forced us to come up with a system, hopefully that will make it, sorry, there's some feedback, Marie, so I'm yep, there you go, Natalie. There's some feedback, I think on Marie's again, so I'm just muted you currently. So if you do have something to adjust, you'll have to unmute. But it kind of forces you guys to have a system. So now instead of my new recruit is asking me what I do to host coach. I don't know. I just kind of talked to her. Hopefully you were able to look back and be like, oh, I do X, Y, and Z. So now I can tell my new recruit, I do X, Y, and Z. Here, use this for now, and then come up with your own style later. And so these calls, the Director Bound series that we're doing for the 6 Weeks to Success, first when I looked at it, I was like, man, so much stuff.
I don't have any cough, but she needs her antibiotics.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to mute poor Natalie. I'm going to mute poor Natalie because she's talking to her kid. But you can unmute anytime you would want to talk. We were on a director call on Tuesday, and Lindsay Ross was yelling at her kid or something about a shower, and she had no idea I was on mute. I just busted out laughing because it was like, that's just mom life, right? And also she's like, I wasn't on mute, and she mutes and she like hides, and I'm like, you guys have seen my kid interrupt us like 4 times. It's fine. But I just want, like I said, just being able to congratulate you guys on, you know, kind of forcing yourself to work that system so that you can kind of get into that that business mode. You know, you got, you know, having it be that accountable homework. Most of these things are likely things that we always said, hey, we're gonna do. If I have time, you know, when I get time, I'm gonna. But because nobody was holding us accountable to it, we never found the time, right? And so being able to stretch on some of those things, I think, really makes a big difference. And so I think that that's just important. And so congratulations for stretching yourself and going, like I said, no matter where you're at with your business, you should be able to get something out of that, even if you're just looking at this as, hey, I think I've got this stuff down. I wonder if I could teach it to my team now. You know, it's important to be able to go through that. So congratulations. Okay, is there anything who would like to do a little share and learn about what we did with our recording? So make it.
I want to share like the interview thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I asked like 20 people, and it was like I was repulsing people, like I was wearing garlic all over me. They like were terrified of me, and I would even say, I even put it out so simple. I just want someone to practice this with.
Right.
You know, I know you don't want to do this business, and you know, and they just, I offered a gift, and they just ran the other way. It's like, what in the world? No, did anyone else have this experience? It was awful.
I think it depends on who you are asking. If it's a prior relationship there, they're going to assume there's a catch.
But they should know me. I'm honest.
I know.
Oh,
But again, you know, like, and again, but there's just, people are scared. And keep in mind, sometimes things like that are they're going to assume that there's a catch, or they're going to assume that there's some, you know what I mean? Like, and it might not have anything to do with you, but it might have to do with like, oh yeah, I got invited to this Tupperware thing once.
Oh, so like
you
a
know
previous, what I mean? Okay.
Right. So, you know, and then we look at that like, understand, like, if you heard me talk about stealing hearts before, I've been at my parties and playing that bag game. And like, I remember one of my first parties, I had only, it was before Christmas. I'd only been living here for maybe a month and a half. So I didn't know, like, Wisconsin, you know, I'd gone to a vendor event and I'd gotten this booking before Christmas. And I was like, awesome. Hopefully this will help me start to branch out. And these ladies were fun and they were enjoying everything. And then I got to the game. I was like, what's going on? Why? We were having so much fun and this is getting, like, you guys are going to love this game. But it was because they assumed there was a catch inside the bag. I was just giving information and a prize, pure and simple. You know what I mean? It was just, you ask these questions, you get a bag. That's it. I'm not going to hound those, like, you're not committing to a relationship with me. You're not committing to joining or hosting a party, nothing like that. But they had prior experiences that when you open the bag, it might say, congratulations, you decided to pick a kit. Or congratulations, you're hosting a party. Like, that's what some direct sales businesses teach their people to do. Now, good, bad. Like, picture the deal or no deal game. If instead of them having the option to say no deal, we just said, sorry, you picked pick number 7, that's a party. When would you like yours? You know what I mean? That's what they're used to. Whereas it's just like, no, just pick this game. You might pick something, or if you book a party, like, you might get something bigger, or you might get something different, or like, that would have that prize, but you can say no deal. My feelings aren't going to be hurt. You can pick three bags and say no deal to all of them. You know what I mean? That's their choice. And so they might have prior experience with direct sales where that's hard stuff. Something that's interesting in the recording is the idea of the soft sell. What does a soft sell mean? You know, soft sell versus a hard sell. Do we know what the difference between that is? Because they talked about a soft sell. You're either all just going to have brand new information or you're all friends. Yeah, Jennifer.
A soft sell is when they don't have the information? Or is that a hard sell?
Okay, think of it this way.
Brandy, help me with live ops.
You're like, what are my terms? If I said,
breaking up so bad. What did you say?
Live ops, remember when we had hard sales and soft sale offers?
Soft sale for that was more of you get them to agree to accept some information and to talk more, versus a hard sale is buy now.
So the soft sale was when they didn't know what it cost.
And that's definitely on the right track as far as the idea. But like, soft sell would be like, wow, you're great at this. Have you ever thought of doing this? You know what I mean? That's an approachable, soft, like, we're obviously asking them about joining, or, things like that. But it's not, like, hey, would you like to become a consultant and join my team? All you have to do is buy a kit. It's a hard sell. You know what I mean? Like, hey, for just $159, you can get the Rock Croc. You might as well just buy that now. So, that's a hard sell. You feel like you're being sold. And that's where a lot of that nervousness of the, hey, you're wearing garlic comes in, because they assume there's something going on, if they weren't ready to it. Whereas the soft sell is that relational, like, well, you are fantastic. I would love to invite you. Would you mind if I invited you to this opportunity event that my team is doing on Monday? It'll just give you some information, and I think that you would be a great fit for our team, and you get to meet some of the people there. That's a little bit more of a soft sell. It's inviting them for that information, as opposed to being like, would you like to join my team before February 28th? This goes away. Things like that. And it's not that for sometimes the hard sell is effective, but for the most part, for the most part, it's this idea of just opening up that information and starting that relationship. And so again, it depends. And, I wouldn't take any, huge personal offense to that, Marie, other than it might just be they've had a lot of other people do things and it was not the kind, honest thing that you were about to
Yeah, I just happen to get a lot of them.
Well, you know what it's like? I get like 3 calls a day that I've won something. I've won a trip and I've won this and I've won that. And if you go to that hotel or go to that whatever, you really do get to stay the night there, but you have to listen to their sales presentation. There's a catch.
Yeah.
They're so used to that. And there are a lot of salespeople that will use that. Hey, can I practice on you? Hey, can I work this on you, to try to get them to hear the information?
Right.
And probably what they felt like you were, going to practice on them in hopes that they would join. And I think they just didn't want to even open the door to that.
Right. Like for mine, I received a Facebook message today from someone. It was actually somebody who was in our opportunity event. That's kind of funny. Because I was like, I don't really know you other than I chatted with you a little bit on Monday about joining Pampered Chef, but now you're trying to sell me whatever this other thing is that you have. And it was, hey, I just started this new business venture and I'm trying to make sure that everybody is informed. Do you mind if I send you a video to watch? Okay, I know I should be nicer, but I'm not. Okay. And I was like, because I know I am very clear if I'm going to be interested or not interested once I hear what the product is. And if I'm interested, I'm all about it. I mean, like, you guys know, I just had an Oryx party. Sure. I got invited to an Usborne Books party. Yeah, I'm going to buy some books for my kids. I need makeup. No, there's nothing I'll buy. Jewelry, if my husband didn't buy it for me for a special occasion, it's not going on my body. Just for the most part, I know that about myself. Can you give me information? What is the company? And it was for an identity theft or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm not in. I know what we've already got. I know it was not in me to lead this person astray because I knew I was not going to purchase whatever it was. And so I was like, oh, no, thank you. We already, know what coverage we would need. I'm not interested. But it might have been mean of me to not be like, sure, go ahead and send me the video. But I'm like, no, because that's opening the door for probably whatever her next step was to be taught. And I needed to make sure that I knew, for her sake and for her time's sake, was I going to be a worthwhile lead or not? So things like that are definitely. What's something else we picked out from the homework or from the recording?
I need to be better at. I was like, I thought I hit unmute and then I didn't.
I can tell your surprise face. It made me laugh.
But I need to be. I do a lot of talking about me, oh, Pampered Chef is awesome for me because I've gotten all these new products and I've earned this. And so I need to be more intentional and mindful of making it about them and how it can work for them and why it'll meet their needs instead of how it's met mine,
That was a big one for me when I first started because I was so on the flexible young mom train, paying off student loans. I was so in the hi, you're 25 and everybody that's 25 years old needs this business. I was so in that I forgot that some people that maybe were retired or had teenagers or, were single or, we're in college and I just forgot about that. And so it never entered in my story and I never mentioned it. And so I likely only hit the people that were young moms of kids. So yeah, having it be all about them. I'm also really bad about at cooking shows. And I'm not a shy person, but I am bad about purposefully making sure that I'm there and set up so that I can mingle beforehand and have the mingling be about them. You know what I mean? Oh, hey, welcome. How do you know so and so? Awesome. Oh, so you're in here, you guys work together. What does she do again? Is it at the bank or whatever? Oh, okay, awesome. How long have you worked there? Do you have any kids? Different, I'm bad about that. Yeah. But if I have done that beforehand, that person's going to think I care about them and might actually listen to what I have to say. Or they're going to see me as a human being and not a salesperson.
Yep.
Which is important.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, those are good. Okay. We are going to go ahead and get rocking here. Our next shebang. Okay. Okay, so this one is called New Consultant Strong Start. And I'm going to show you guys some things and just make sure that you have access to some resources. Now, I'm going to fully admit, I do not do this well as a system. Okay, this is where people, there'll be other upper level directors that'll contact me because they know that we have a strong growing team or that I've done well with recruiting or something like that. They'll be like, do you use so-and-so system? How do you? And I'm like, I'm trying to keep my nose above water and hoping that I don't do my new consultants a disservice. Like that, you know what I mean? Like, do I have things that I do that if I mark down, I was like, okay, yes, but like this is my mental process going into it. Do I do this wonderful binder system I'm going to show you? No, I do not. Does Stacy Itzel, who you will see her name all over the place in Pampered Chef land, and you'll see her all over the stage at conference? She sure does. Okay. It is one of those, like, my dream to be disorganized and have the system in place so that I don't let any of my new consultants fall through the cracks. So that I don't have someone that maybe needed that extra support to reach out to me first. You know what I mean? Like, I think of students in my classroom. The kids that raise their hand right now get my attention. However, if I'm a good leader, if I'm an inspirational leader, I'm checking on every single one of those students because the person that needs help might just be a little shy or might think, she probably doesn't want to help me, or I don't know how to word my question, or, oh, I'm not any good at this, I'm just going to waste her time. Whatever is going through her head, it's my job to check in with her so that whatever those doubts are, I help her be successful. Now, some people will just shy away and there's only so much we can do to help them, but there are those people that need those consistent check-ins, and if we're not doing them, they'll fall away, and it wasn't necessarily even their fault. They just didn't have that support. So I'm going to show and I'm going to talk about some of these things. Let me screen share so we can get this one. Okay. Okay, so this is one of the things that when you get new consultants, or even if you haven't been taught this yourself, something that is really important, and they get emails that tell them to go visit these places. And in our new training, it says, hey, PCO, best friend. Okay. We used to have new consultant training videos that they were good, but they were really non-user friendly, or it was really hard to find the topic, or it was just kind of weird. This is user friendly. It is like step 1, step 2, here's where you need to go. And it's kind of like, hey, all that stuff, there's all sorts of places on Consultants Corner that have resources. There are places, I've been in this 5.5 years and I'm an upper level director and I've never gone there because I just haven't needed it, or I haven't used it, or it's just not been my thing. Okay? But the resources are there. And I think what's important is to make sure that our new consultants know that those resources are there in case they want to use those. There's no need to recreate the wheel. Our team, or you personally as a director, you personally as a team leader or a senior consultant or whatever, might have a different system or different that you have found that works for you. That is great. But it is important to know what has Jeff put out there so that it can be easier for you to feel like you can lead these new consultants. And it is easy and duplicatable for them. So when they start recruiting, it's not, oh god, well, I got to figure out, you know, that system that Rachel created for herself. It's like, no, I send them to Consultants Corner and I send them to PCU, and if they walk, they're going to have everything they need to know. So that is an important thing to be able to know. Okay, so if we go to this, being able to figure that out. So, you know, and then it's got the part where new consultants start here, get a refresher. So this is like, hey, I'm brand new, and they're going to for sure walk you through steps. This one is going to be more like, hey, maybe you've been in the business and you're looking for a particular course or something. But something that a lot of consultants don't know is up here, these courses. Okay, so being able to look under here, there's a bunch of resources here too. Okay, but going to these courses where there'd be like, hey, getting started. Hey, you know, like, I need help on booking. Hey, I need help on host coaching. I need help on selling. I need help on recruiting. Hey, customer care. How do I, you know, approach those? The one that we're going to look at right now is the Leaders Course for Coaching New Consultants. Okay, so this is the one that we're going to look at down here at the bottom, because we've kind of assumed, you'll notice in the calls that we've done already, we basically covered all these. Okay, so we're going to get into this Leaders Course for Coaching New Consultants, and I'm going to kind of show you what's available here, that you can get familiar with walking through this and looking. Okay, so the way that this works, here's the deal. If you're like me, sometimes you're like squirrel and you just start clicking buttons. Start at the top and work your way down. There's a reason for what's there. Coaching basics and instructions. That's important. Instructions. Okay, instead of being like, oh, okay, so I'm probably supposed to be on their 4th call. Maybe I should click on here. And it has these resources, basically these checkouts. You know, so any of the printouts or things like that that you would have. Okay, so if we say, okay, so I would like to figure out, I'm sorry, I'm going to move my cameras all the way around, okay? It gives you these basic things to be able to figure out on what you're doing. So if I click on this, like for the getting started checklist, okay? Where sometimes, now, again, your consultants, virtual or not, need to open up their paperwork box. Whether they plan on doing a coaching thing or anything, because there is some paperwork in there that it might talk a little bit more about cooking shows for those things. But for all you know, maybe they want to do cooking shows. Maybe you are a virtual consultant, but they signed up because they like to do home parties. I think a lot of in our virtual world, we kind of dismiss that thought. Cooking shows are a vital part of our business, are a vital part of Pampered Chef. They are a vital part of giving customers an experience. You know, like our homework call talked about, it talked about that experience of Pampered Chef and what we should be offer them. You know, some, you know, things like I do Facebook parties because of convenience, and sometimes it's kind of nice and fun to like party that way. But for me, like, okay, for example, I got invited to the 3rd Usborne book party in the same week. And I was like, shoot, I just got the books on my door today. I'm in this other party that I'll probably, you know, sure, I don't need it, but the thing that I passed on from the first party, I'll go ahead and order so it helps this person out. The 3rd online party, I was like, oh, it's my, you know, it's for my cousin who's in town. I'm like, oh, maybe it's an in-home party. I'll get that. Even though I had bought from 2 other parties, I was like, it would be really fun to take Kylie over to cousin's house and drink some wine and have a cookie. You know what I mean? I totally would have been all over that in-home party. Because at that point, I didn't need sold to anymore. I needed an experience. And so just keeping things like that in mind. And so that they kind of know, hey, what are these? Now, if you have that is a go-getter that's right out the gate, that's organized, they're going to be reading through this naturally. Okay, but you might have to point this stuff out for them. Or you have to know, okay, so you're in your first 24 hours. Let's set some goals. Okay, let's look at what the new consultant rewards look like. Let's get some, you know, let's get some dates on your calendar so that we can start booking parties. Okay, being able to figure this out, because you'll notice there's a lot of stuff that they have us doing before they even get their kit. And that's whether they were going to do virtual shows or cooking shows, doesn't really matter. Okay, because they can turn in, they can turn catalog orders in before the kit was there. They can turn in a party before their kit comes, as long as they have login, they're in and they're ready to, you know, start business. So, you know, start promoting their outlet. There's also they can do, and so stuff like that is important. Okay, so that is, oops, I'm gonna move on this. I have all the screens. Okay, so things like that are important. They also get a recipe for success book. And this is what I'm going to have us look at currently, this binder version. Because remember, this course is, hey, you're deciding that you want to be a leader and grow a team. They are giving you this information so that you can check in with your new team. This binder version is something, again, this is the holy grail of, yes, I'm organized and my life is together. Okay. Do I currently implement this? Currently, no. I did not have my personal business and act together. When this came out, our team was growing at such a pace that I like I said, nose above water. But if you are at a point in your business where you can feel like you have a handle on some of these other things, and you're just starting to recruit, or you're just starting to develop a team, or it's been a while since you've recruited, and you're like, okay, I want to start up again and kind of get my feet wet. Okay, you can start using a system like this to go through. And so it basically has this binder that's categorized into these different categories. So like the first one would be like, hey, trying to make sure that you're, you know, teaching yourself and them time management. Then there's a first call with the new consultants, a second call, a third call, and a fourth call. And then what's called show-based coaching, which after they've had a show, giving feedback. Okay. Now, depending on how you're doing that, for example, you know, maybe it's a cooking show and you're going to go and do their grand opener for them. Okay, maybe it's a virtual party and you posted for them. Okay, and maybe they said, you know what, okay, you posted for me, I'm ready to be on my own, but they add you to the party so you can see how they're doing on their own. Okay, and the ability for them to be coachable and being willing to give feedback. Now, I've had some people that are like, no, I got it, I can do it on my own. And they won't add me to their parties and they ignore me and whatever. And on a good month, they got a $200 party. You know what I mean? I'm like, they won't, I don't, something's missing. But I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? I'm like, and they won't let me see it. there's only so much, if someone is not being coachable, there is only so much that you can do to support, be available, and when they're ready, they'll come. Okay, so don't get too frustrated and you're like, I had this binder printed out and I got a recruit and I was totally going to do this on her and she wouldn't even to me. Not your problem. Not your fault. You know what I mean? Like, you coach her or him however they would like to learn best and whatever is going on in their life and their story, and just be available. So don't let that get you down. Okay. So it goes through this binder. It's going to give you like, hey, get a binder, get sheet protectors, get tab dividers. At first sight, this is super overwhelming, but it's because it goes through each step of here's what you do. Okay. And so those are all the instructions. Okay. And it gives you like, hey, like if you were going to go to a coach, a new start workshop, what are some of the things that you would do? What are some of the things that you need to have presence in your mind as a leader and things like that? Something that is really important, I think, are these 5 steps that they have. Okay. Initiating positive conversations. Okay. If they feel that you're checking in on them and they, in such a way that, okay, for example, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like, like, hey, did you get all the shows on your calendar? And they didn't. They might start being like, meh. Initiating positive, be like, hey, what is something that you got excited about with your business? Since we talked last. What is something did you, like, hey, did you get a chance to play with any of your products yet, or make dinner or talk to, something that's going to allow them to open up where those expectations aren't necessarily scary. Like, oh gosh, you wanted me to get 5 shows on my calendar and I only have 2, and my kid got sick and then I didn't, like, we don't want them to feel like they're being yelled at. We want them to feel like they're being coached. Okay. I'm reminding them of their why. Like if you've written down like, hey, I just wanted to check in. Okay, so when you first signed, you said that your goal was, that your ultimate goal was you wanted to get rid of your credit card debt. Is that still the first, now that you've got your kid or now that you've kind of started booking shows, is that still the number one thing that we're working on? And making sure that they have whatever that is. Okay. 1 month in, they might be like, actually, I think what I really want is to pay for my kids' dance lessons, or what I really want is to stay home. Whatever, that's going to adjust. What is important, and one of the things that I went to a retreat this last weekend since I saw you guys last, and what was really interesting, because they asked me to speak about a few things, and something that was really was this idea of just really emphasizing with them that if your why doesn't make you want to cry, it doesn't make your heart beat faster, then you likely haven't found the true why. You're blocking it with, like, hey, I would like to earn money for a vacation. And that sounds good. And it's not that might not be something you do with it, but your real why might be that big, scary dream that you're scared to even say out loud. You know what I mean? Like at conference, I had always said that my why was to stay home, but then I went to conference last year, and those of you guys that were there and sitting around the table, okay, you saw me bawling. Like we were all kind of talking about the things that we got across, and I started panic crying. Like it was like, I hate my job and I want to stay home. Like I don't want to go into another year. Like school was going to start in another month, and I was like, I just want to do it. I need to get to a place where that's reality. Yeah, I said that I wanted that 5 years ago, but it's legitimately now the one focus of my why in my business. It's not about the school debt anymore, or about the credit card debt, or about Christmas money. It's about I need to stay home with my kids. And like for some people, it's I need to find boundaries and balance. For some people, it's I need to find self-confidence. For some people, it's I need to fight depression and be around positive people. For some people, it might be we are in financial stress and that's what's stressing out our marriage and I need to fix it. For some people, it might be I don't know how to goal set, and so I don't know how to be a role model for my kids. Okay? Like whatever that why is, we've got to try to see if we can connect with our person enough that they go deep enough to figure out what that real why is, because then they'll stay in it. If I just always worked my business like, yeah, no, it'd be cool to have some extra money at the end of the month. We have 2 really good jobs. We are very blessed. You know what I mean? Like my husband makes good money. I have a good solid job as a teacher that gives me a lot of flexibility that most jobs don't have. We got health benefits. You know what I mean? Like I don't need Pampered Chef to pay my bills. I needed it to get some more financial freedom to be able to take trips, things like that, but it's not that individual. So really connecting for that new consultant strong start, if you can get them to identify their why, on the surface level, they're going to give you some answers, like, oh, I just wanted I wanted a deep cover baker, things like that. Yeah, that's why maybe you got the kit. What's going to keep you in the business? What's going to keep you connected? What's going to make you want to make this part-time, full-time, consistent, whatever that might be. Okay. And brainstorming and picking a challenge. It's really important that they come up with what their challenge is sometimes. Now, some people might not necessarily know, and I'm bad at this sometimes too, because I'm like, well, sometimes I like my own challenge, okay? Where I try to create a big goal one. But if you're going one-on-one with a consultant, and you say, okay, so this person has supposedly looked over the new consultant rewards, because, they know what they're supposed to do. They know there's got some of that support. And so then being able to be like, okay, so what should be a challenge? What's going to be our first goal? Maybe it's just to get to $1,250. Maybe it's $1,250 in 30 days. Maybe they're like, I want that extra $200 in Paper Chef dollars to buy something. I want a rock crock and a new grill, or whatever. Maybe that's their thing. And so then being able to have them, okay, so you want $1,250 in 30 days. Okay, so what do you plan to do to try to hit that? What's your goal? Okay, well, I need to book some shows. Do you think 5 shows? How many shows should I book? And kind of, you can help them well, typically, a new consultant, maybe 3 to 5 shows will help them qualify. So let's make sure we have that many on your calendar. Being like that and having them, if they say, well, my first goal, I want to pay off my credit card debt. Okay, well, how much is it? $3,000. It's not that they can't do it, but are they willing to do the action steps that would be necessary to go after that goal? So making sure that you're breaking that down to them and holding them accountable. The whole reason we have this group. Okay, how many of you, if I would have said, okay, great, you guys all do this, no homework link, and you're welcome back no matter if you do it or not, how many of you would have actually done everything that was on the homework list? I wouldn't have, because it would have been optional. And we're like, that one thing that makes me really uncomfortable over there, I'm not doing it. I don't have time for it. You know what I mean? I would have picked and chose what I thought was important. Instead of gaining experience past that comfort level. And so, just thinking of things like that are really important. Okay. So for example, I went and had some meetings with people and I was like, okay, so you said that you want to have 2 shows on your calendar before February is over. Great. When do you think that you would have time to do a power hour to make some calls? A Sunday night. Okay, great. I'm going to check in with you on Monday morning to see how that went. Okay. I let them pick when they were going to work on it. I didn't force them and say you have to have it done by Monday. It's when do you think that you would be able to work towards that goal? And then after that, we've got this item of hey, do you think that you can do this? For example, some new consultant calls that I do sometimes when I'm having them working on getting contacting people and doing shows. Sometimes I get on a phone call with them and they haven't done what they were supposed to do. And then I would say things like, okay, so it looks like we weren't able to we weren't able to prioritize, or get our phone calls in, our power hour or whatever. When do you think you would be able to do that? And again, that back with, the world has not ended, but I really was going to hold you accountable. I told you I was, so I did my job. So let's reset that goal and see when we can reach that again. I think that that's important, that they know they're going to be checked on, because how many times have we had something where I'm like, oh God, they're going to ask. Oh, they didn't ask. And then you're not motivated to do it anymore because it wasn't on their radar. They didn't care anymore. You know what I mean? And, and things like that. And again, this is something that, I'm preaching to myself with this idea of through with that. But if they know that you're going to be accountable to help them reach that goal that they set on their own, okay? It's the reason that things like Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig works. Okay, they know they're going to go in front of a group of their supporters and step on that scale and report to their coach and, or whatever, and they have to basically answer to what they did that week with their habits and the choices that they made. Okay, that's why people pay money to be in those groups. Okay, because they need that accountability. Okay, they can make those choices, good, better, otherwise, all they want for free. Okay, but they want that accountability. Okay, and then motivating them for meaningful recognition. Recognition is a really, really big part of a director's job or of a team leader's job or of a senior consultant's job. And some of that is because when you're growing your team, you have the ability to really keep track of your own family. Okay, you know what I mean? I wouldn't expect my parents to be able to tell Kylie, great job on that spelling test. They don't know. You know what I mean? They don't, it's not their job to necessarily remember. It's my job as her mom to, hey, did you study your words? Hey, what'd you get? And so really being able to do that. And we have a lot of big things that happen in our team, but recognize them for everything they do that is good. Something that, again, that I want to be better at is recognizing behavior sometimes is more important than recognizing results. And what that means is sometimes it's more important to recognize the person who went out of their comfort zone and, walked around the neighborhood and got new contacts, or the person who held a power hour even when, they were sick, or whatever like that. Recognizing that tenacity, even if they didn't get any bookings. Like, you guys will notice when I do a booking blitz, I do give a reward people that get the most bookings, because I'm like, hey, results, that's great. Congratulations, you won. Okay. But I also do results for the most no's and the most contacts. Because if I can train my team that it's rewarding to do the action, and they decide that the action is worthwhile, then I know it's a numbers game, and eventually they're going to get results. And the results are going to make them think, hey, that was worth it. And then that belief is going to do their actions, and it's going to be that cycle. One of the things that they had, if you guys remember in the book that you guys have printed out, you guys see that? Backwards probably. But it's this idea of my beliefs determine my actions determine my results, and my results will reinforce my belief. Okay? If I believe that I can recruit someone, okay, if I believe that I can book a show, and I go out and start doing what it takes to recruit someone or show, then eventually I'm going to recruit someone and I'm going to book a show. And then I'm going to be like, see, I am a recruiter. And then I believe that, and then my actions continue to follow. And so if you, like, I loved it. I think it was Lori Spencer, who's new on our team. She did a little holler like, I know it's not much to you guys, but, like, hey, I got my catalogs. I love posts like that, because sometimes we feel like we can only post if we've done something absolutely extraordinary compared to everyone else. And that's not what it's about. Okay? Those positive posts and those hurrahs, I remember I still feel that way when I hit 750 every month. Okay? But I remember what it was like to have that be my goal every month. My goal was 2 shows, because when I hit 2 shows, that's when I got my little FedEx goodie. Okay? And I remember when that last show went in, I was like, I got it. Okay? Was that paying my mortgage? No. Okay? But was it making me feel successful? It was. It was. And so being able to connect with them, like maybe they had the goal of booking 5 shows, and you go out and congratulate them for that. And making it, it's not necessarily, like also the option of like congratulating them privately is important, but sometimes it's important to toot their horn in front of everybody else. Like I love like Tanya Kohler on our team. She got on and was saying hurrah for Lori, and she was like, oh my gosh, look at what this girl did in her first 30 days. Okay. And it's awesome. For someone that's selling $6,000 a month, that might not look impressive. I look at it, believe I go, fantastic. Okay? Or a new consultant starting out might be like, whoa, that's huge. I wonder if I can do that. Okay. It's important. And so I love it when you guys are able to do that. Okay. Does that make sense? Kind of these five coaching aspects that, that are big. In this binder, I'm going to show, and I'm going to kind of go through this kind of quickly. Okay. One, it's talking about time management for us and for them. Okay, because again, it's easy for us to drop the ball when we start coaching new team members, or like maybe you have a rock star month and suddenly you've got 3 of them, and you're like, whoa, I don't know how to juggle 3 different people and their schedules and stuff like that. Okay, so then it basically goes through, here's what you do in the first call. Okay, here's what you do, and it gives you scripts. Okay, so if you're like, I'm not sure, okay, it's fine to read through the script. It really is. Now, the more you practice it, the more natural you're going to sound. Okay. And if there's something in there that is not very you know what I mean? Like change it out for something that might feel a little bit more genuine. But I think, but it's important to know that they have these scripts for a reason. Okay. And especially while you're first starting out, you just use what's available. Use what's available. And you know what's going to make that person, your new recruit, is going to feel like, oh, I think she's reading from a script. There must be a piece of paper that helps us do this. Maybe it is really doable to start recruiting right away. because like, oh, I barely have my show scheduled together. There's no way I can also train someone. Like, oh, well, if there's a script for me to read, if there's a step-by-step process for me to follow. So that's important. And again, it talks about, like different things about objections. Again, time management. It goes through, again, all those instructions on what you're supposed to do. Okay, so then it gives you a checklist. I like checklists because I forget stuff. So like, okay, first call. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to get to know the person. Who are they? Do they have kids? Do they have a cat? Okay, do they work outside the home? Have they tried direct sales before? I don't know. Figure out their why, because remember, we're going to keep bringing them back to it. I know they're, all these different things. Okay, get some parties booked with them. Okay, they might be like, I don't know who's going to ask. If you haven't already gone through, being able to walk through that first call so that they feel like they are successful. Okay. Homework, telling them, hey, we're going to get some things on you, bringing them to PCU so that they have those items. Okay, work on my story, be able to tell your story at a show. Okay. And then being able to have some sort of a follow-up, set your date for that next call. Being able to connect, and again, depending on how you do your business, this might look different. It might look like a Zoom call, a phone call. It might look like a, hey, face back and forth at 8:30 on Tuesday, just so that they know there's some live feedback and forth. It might look different depending on your person, okay? I will always highly encourage a phone call or a Zoom call just because you'll get to know the person better. Okay, there won't be a room necessarily for mistake of tone or something like that. Like, oh, she seemed really pushy that she needed me to like that. You know what I mean? Like a little more give and take personality there. And nothing says you're important like a phone call. Like, honestly, like, I've scheduled you. There's nothing else going on. I don't have the TV on in the background. I'm not cooking dinner at the same time. It's just you and me. Like, let's get you set up for success. Okay, and then it gives you a second call checklist. What the heck are we supposed to talk about on the second one? Okay, and it gives you instructions on what to talk about. And then it gives you a third call checklist. What the heck were we supposed to talk about? Okay, you're able to go through it and basically have this checklist for each person on your team. And again, this is not for forever. The idea of this new consultant strong start is that if you have done this with your new consultants, and you're just best buddies for their first 30 days, okay, they're gonna have a strong start and they're not gonna need you to be attached to their hip in day 31 through 60. They might still have some questions, okay, but you have showed them where to go, whether that's a Facebook group, Consultants Corner, Pampered Chef University, you've shown them and given them resources to be able to make sure that they know how to do that. And so, those 4 calls are really the first one is, what do you do? How do you get bookings on their calendar? Okay, number 2 is following up on their bookings and making sure that they know how to host coach. Number 3 is really, okay, they have their first party set up. And I'm going to tell you, strongly encourage your new recruit to do a launch. It's very important to do a launch. And here's one of the reasons. It tells all their friends and family that they are open for business. Okay. Even if they want to be a virtual consultant and that's it, highly encourage you to have them do an in-person launch. Couple reasons. Maybe they use the kit credit and just hosted a virtual party with you. They're going to reach and touch and have an experience by a grand opening party. Now, it is a little bit different. Like somebody that wants to do a grand opening cooking show, I go and do the party for them. And they basically watch with consultant guides. So like if I'm at a cooking show and someone signs, and then we book their grand launch party, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to come and do the show for you. They're going to enter the orders and they're going to do the things, but they're going to make sure that they have how did I host coach them? Like I would host coach anybody else, so they get that training because they're looking at it with a consultant eyes, that they know the host perspective. And then when I'm there, they should be looking at it with consultant eyes. Because when they were at their friend's party that they booked and joined from, they were just there to drink wine and cook. They weren't watching what I was doing. You know what I mean? They weren't looking at it like, oh, God, I got to teach this. I got to do this next time, so I need to pay attention. Okay? They're going to show up before the show. They're going to see what I'm doing. They're going to see me set this up. They're going to see, I'll be like, hey, remember when I was playing that bookings game and you were in the other room getting a refill? Stay here now and pay attention to what I'm saying. Those types of things that are going on. And so that is really important. So just really encourage them. It's only going to be good things. And especially if they're struggling, feeling like they're getting bookings, they won't cancel on themselves. And they should be keenly aware Yes, I am doing all of the things that I'm supposed to be doing to get attendance. I am sending out postcard invites. I am doing phone calls. I am, I'm doing all these things that I know a host is supposed to do, because then hopefully if she's doing that, she's going to have a successful show, right? Right? Because maybe her friend Sally said she'd do a show, and Sally is saying, oh, yeah, I sent out a bunch of invites. No, she Facebook invited 13 people. She didn't send out any catalog. She didn't ask for outside orders. She didn't send text messages. She didn't call anybody. She didn't talk to the people at work. She didn't do any of that. And then the show was a bust, and your new consultant is like, like my party only had $75 worth of orders. You know what I mean? We want them to get started feeling strong, like, sweet, my first cooking show was $600. I'm halfway to my 30-day goal already. It was just one party. You know what I mean? That's what we want them to be able to feel like. So that third call is really about, before their first party, making sure, do you have any questions? Okay, so we've got this set up. I'm going to post for you in SynthShare. Okay, do you have the outline? Do you understand that you're going to check on the games each night? You're the one posting the winner, because even though the postings are coming from me, it's your job to interact with the guests, and they're going to be booking from you, things like that. And then call number 4 is basically, so the first party has happened, now what? We've had our first party. These are the things that you're going to have, like, how do you do customer care? And how do you maybe invite that host to join your, those types of things that are going to come through. And so, I mean, if you think about your business where you're like, wow, if I had somebody, and this is where all of your directors, including me, will be fighting. Okay, if I had somebody that would have walked through this with me, I would have felt really confident. You know what I mean? Or I would have been like, oh, I didn't have to guess on this or that. And so it's not that you were necessarily taught poorly, but imagine when you've got your A game for your consultants. And like, whether you do a binder or not, keeping in mind that you need to be in constant communication. The first call needs to be about getting to know them. The second one needs to be helping them get bookings on their calendar. The third one needs to be helping them with their first shows. And the fourth one needs to be, now what? I mean, those are the basic elements of this binder that you would have. Whereas, again, when you have arrived and you've got this binder and you're able to checklist and make sure that you've hit on all of those, but if your heart and your genuine interest in connecting with them touches on those 4 things, then you're going to be better off. Okay, do you have any questions or anything about that? No, you are?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
And I thought they said in the recording that the director was supposed to go in and do like a practice session with them, but they were not supposed to be there for lunch. Did I hear that wrong?
That depends on who you ask.
Okay.
That depends on who you ask. I will always be at someone's launch.
Okay.
No, because to me, that's me showing support. And I want to make sure that launch goes well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know what they're going to do. And I don't want them to have this terrified experience. Like, Tamara came to my launch. I did the launch. She didn't. She asked me, how comfortable are you? I was like, I'm a teacher. I got an outline. We're fine. Okay. But then people would ask me questions, and I'm like, Tamara, I don't know anything about stuff where I got this bar pan in my kit and I've used it 3 times because I practiced the speed twice and now I just made it for you. I have no idea what the benefits are. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what's the best first speed to get. I don't know. So things like that she helped me do being there. And she offered and even like it made me feel less stressed cleaning up the countertop while I was interacting with people. While I was trying to enter orders. When I was trying to enter orders and I was like, what is it telling me? Why is there an exclamation point? She was able to come in quick and make sure that, the person was taken care of. And that's important. And so, you can, but like, for example, like Marie, I couldn't come to your first cooking show. I don't live there. You know what I mean? Like, so we need to make sure that you at least have the resources that if I can't physically be there, hey, here's the outline, here's the recipe, here's a recording of one.
But you went over everything with me. Right. And I talked to you very thoroughly about it before my show.
Exactly. And so I felt like you were ready even though I wasn't going to physically be there. Right. And that's important. I shouldn't be like, well, there's stuff in your kit. You'll be fine.
I was like, ah!
I mean, maybe you would be, but I would. So just making sure that you get that comfort level. Like I said, even Tamara being like, "Hey, are you good? Are you, she made sure that I was completely ready." And I was like, "Yeah, I got this." I had some people that I've come to and I've been like, "Now, do you want me to do it or do you want to do it?" And they're like, "You do it." Like, okay, watch what I do, and that's it. Okay.
My Georgia still has not done an opening show. And I told her, I said, and I know she's swamped, but I said, I would really like to come and do an opening show for you.
Yeah.
And so we're
And what a
working
better
on it.
excuse than a new catalog. Right?
I'm working on it still.
I know. And like I said, and something that's really important to notice too, is this is the perfect way to coach someone. That someone that is like, yes, I want to be successful. I've got the time to do this. I'm prioritizing this. Yes, when is our next phone call? That's not going to happen. Time. I'm like,
Right.
the host is involved. She's posting selfies. She's playing every game. She's congratulating. Everybody's having fun. And then some shows are like cricket. Okay, like we base our belief and our practices on what it should be, not sometimes with what we get. You know what I mean? Someone that, again, and the person that does not want to make these phone calls and things with me, it's not that I'm going to ignore them, but when they are responding to me, when I have to reach out to them, I know they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And when the only response I get is, okay, they're lost. They're not going to do anything. They're not actually doing anything they're telling them to do. Or they've rescheduled 6 times for the call we're supposed to have. They're not prioritizing it. It's not even on their calendar. They're like, yeah, no, Thursday should be fine. Oh, I didn't even remember. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, hey, this is going on Thursday. Like, this is what I have fun. I mean, what if I showed up to our Zoom calls tonight, 30 minutes late, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I was putting Kylie to bed, and we just got home from dance. Are those all valid things that go on in my life? Sure. But you're a priority. Thursday at 8:30, this is where I am. Now, to this day, it was like barely at 8:30. Chasing my kids upstairs, like, Daddy, help. Okay. But, like, it's still that, that element of being able to prioritize. Okay, ready for homework? Okay, so this is call number 6. Here's how this is going to close out. Next week, we will have a call at 8:30. There will not be training. There will be like a, yay, you did it call. Okay, for those of you that make it. Okay. It's going to be short. It's just going to be a chance for you guys to all see once all the stuff has gone through the bathwater. All February's over, so we know if we submitted 8 shows, we know if we got through both strikes, whatever. We know we submitted our homework, from this that I'm giving you right now, and being able to say woot woot, okay, and kind of congratulate each other. Now, that is not to say that if some of you do not make it to next week's call, that we are disappointed or what a waste of time. Nothing like that. Nothing like that will even go through my brain. Okay, it will be look at what you did. Look at new things that you learned. Look at all that time that you invested and probably the new habits that you gained. Okay, like that is what that will be. But there is something very significant into completing the challenge. Okay. So I want you guys to be aware of that don't think like, oh, Trudy's gonna hate me, she never want to talk to me because I didn't. No. Okay. Like the kids worked really hard and maybe didn't get on the A honor roll, but as a teacher I can be like, but look at you bust out that C+. You worked your arse off for it, and that is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's that effort, and you know what? It was better than you were when you started. Just kind of keep those in mind. Okay. So your homework is going to be, there is another phone call. It's called Make It a Strong Start. Okay, so there's another. Okay. I would like you to do a power hour, obviously. And then I want you to review the Coaching New Consultants Guide. Okay, so this thing that we looked at, I want you to actually go through it. And I would like for you to highlight it or to print it and highlight it. Hopefully everybody has access to a printer. If not, we're trying to figure that out. Okay, but I would like you to print it. It's 28 pages, fair warning. Okay, 28 pages. And just highlight things as you go through. Because there's something, and I'm sure it's a teacher in me, but there's something different about having it and marking on the things that you think are important, or that you're like, you know what, I never thought this, or you know what, this is one thing that I would really like to start doing in my own business, or with people that to people that I go through, or this is something that I would think is the most important part. If I can't do all 4 calls, this call is the most important, or something. Okay, and so I think that that's important. Okay, so it will be printing and highlighting, and then part of it I'll make you send me a picture of like a highlighted page, not all 28 pages. So I guess you could lie to me and only highlight one page and be like, yeah, I did it. Okay, but obviously we're adults. Okay, this is based on integrity. Okay, okay, here's your inspiration, and I know we're a couple minutes over, but there was something that I listened to the other day, and I think it was like a Beachbody coach or something like that. And it was really, really interesting, where she talked about that we are currently in, that we're on a weight loss journey. Okay, use that metaphor. We are currently in the before picture. Okay, we have to think about and dream about that after picture, and picture what is it going to look like when my skinny jeans fit again. What is it going to look like when I get into that dress I have a pair of like in my dream jeans that I always keep for some reason, and sometimes I fit into them, but usually I do not. But they're in my closet, and I keep them there because I always hope that one day that, I'll get on that workout or whatever. It's just it's like there. So whatever that after picture would look like. So right now, you're probably in a before section of your dream with Pampered Chef. Okay, or maybe it's a before section, and maybe Pampered Chef plays into it, but it's a before picture of your self-confidence. It's a before picture of your financial freedom. It's a before picture of your marriage. Okay, whatever that is, okay, that is for you, I want you to picture that right now. And I want you to think about what that after picture looks like. Okay? And you're going to run into days where you're like, I do not feel like it. I don't want to do it. Things aren't going well. I can't get a booking to save my life. So-and-so acted really rude to me and slammed the door in my face. You know what I mean? Like when I tried to offer them a show, like these things where it gets really, really discouraging. And in those moments, when you feel down and you feel low and you feel like this is not working and you feel like you are far from your goal, okay, but you do it anyway, that is when that character is built. And that is when you start acting like the after picture, and you're going to get closer to being the after picture. If you always act and react and behave like the old before picture, you are never going to get to the other side. The before, you might have been like, I can't do this, it's too hard, I don't want to get off the couch, I don't want to do this, it makes me really nervous, I have anxiety, I've made 30 phone calls and they've all said no. Okay, you're going to stay in that before picture if you don't figure out how to have that character building moment and get past whatever that is. Because typically, it's something else in your journey. It's not about the booking. It's about the, I can do this and I don't care what other people say. I'm going to find someone that I can serve. I'm going to find somebody that needs this. I'm going to find somebody that has a passion like I do for whatever this is. Okay? I'm going to be able to, do whatever it takes to get into that character mode to be able to get to your after picture. And so I just want to impress upon your brain those visualizations and that picturing. Like one week we were like, hey, picture that moment when you're walking across stage, when you pay off that credit card debt, when your husband looks at you and realizes, oh, this is a real job. Like whatever those moments are, when you earn that first trip and you're picking your flights, whatever it is, okay, when you hit your first $1,000 show, okay, whatever that moment is that you picture, okay, you have to be able to hold on to that and to want it bad enough that you get through that before picture behavior and that you bust through so that you can get to the other side. And also think of that before picture and that after picture. You were on any other journey, we would not expect immediate results. Okay, I can't walk into Weight Watchers and say, I would like to be a size 2. I've never been a size 2, by the way, but I would like to be that size by conference. And then week after week be angry that I'm not a size 2. You know what I mean? And the accomplishments that we make are small, okay? But they're forward. And sometimes we give up before we can see that visual confirmation of change. And that's typically when someone says, oh, I tried direct sales, it wasn't for me. Or I was a consultant years ago and it just didn't work out, okay? Because they stopped working towards that after picture before they got to see the, whoa, look at this picture of me, before Christmas. Like, look at my cheeks. Like, look, they're thinner. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness, look at what my arms were doing in that picture. Were they really that big? Because it's little by little. Okay, when I look back at my first shows, man, I was awful. I literally kind of, every once in a while, I feel like I should find some of my first friends and see how I've evolved and be like, I apologize. I sucked. You know what I'm doing? And I'm just in it because I was just trying to reach this next goal, and I didn't know that it should have been all about you. And you know what I mean? I didn't know how to take care of your guests at your house. I didn't know how to cook, so I didn't know how to give you extra tips, you know, about the tools I was using. Like, I can see that journey now of where I've come from. When I can walk into the kitchen at, you know, 6:30 after dance and be like, oh, okay, so we don't have dinner. Okay, I've got chicken, I've got this here, I'm gonna put it together, and then I've got to help you. I can now visually see the lady that would have ordered a pizza or put in Totino's pizza or tuna helper to, I made such a better choice for my family now that I have those tools. Little by little by little by little that I got those skills. Okay, 30 days in, I wasn't like, I'm a Pampered Chef consultant, boom, gourmet chef on Hell's Kitchen. And no, that doesn't happen. And so just encourage yourself that after picture takes time, and it takes sweat, and it takes tears. Okay, but if you're willing to get through the sweat and the tears, I promise you, you will get closer and closer to that picture, no matter what that is for you. And your after picture might look different than someone else's. Don't get pissed because you're not the other person. Okay, just keep that in mind. Or don't get pissed because you're like, man, I made it really well, but I had a setback. You know, just keep going. You guys are doing great. Okay, well, that's all I had for you. Okay, I will post some things. I'll be able to get some items up, and I will post the homework. And I'm gonna pin the post right away, because what I'm doing is I'm not pinning the post right away because I'm like, I want them to find it, but then I forget to pin it, and so then people like Stephanie have to be like, hey, you should pin the post. So I'm like, dang it. Okay, so I'm gonna just let you know right now. Yeah, it's a real holler at me. Okay, I'm going to pin the post right away. So if you want to know, hey, what was the homework, or what did she say, or what little quote is she gonna ask to respond to, or whatever, it'll be in the pin post in roughly 20 minutes. Okay. All right, I love all of you, and I wish I could give you a big hug, and I wish we could have our final call be like together or something. We're far away. Rebecca. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.